It's time to break down some football.
We got to get our mind right. Touchdown, win.
From the perspective of guys who played in the NFL.
Caught, touchdown!
And a guy who had one really great sack in high school.
Oh, you're so weak. You're a waste of my time.
Greg Camarillo and Marcus McNeil are the pros, and Scraby is the Joe.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Two Pros and a Joe starts right now.
Two Pros and a Joe after week 4 in the NFL. I'm Scraby, the Joe of the show, and we got Greg Camarillo and Marcus McNeil, the two pros. Greg was a wide receiver in the NFL for 8 seasons. He played with the Chargers, Dolphins, Saints, and Vikings. Marcus McNeil, 6 years with the Chargers at left tackle, and again, one very, very nice sack for me in high school. If you want to interact with us, you can at Two Pros and a Joe, the number 2 Pros and a Joe on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook, and then on Twitter for individually at Catch Camarillo, at Marcus McNeil 73, at Matt Scraby, and that's us. We are coming up on some pretty good topics, I think, here in the week 4 podcast, and one of them is going to be. The first one has to be about Tom Brady and his big dong that keeps showing up everywhere he goes.
What the fuck?
I was waiting for you guys to hear about that.
Great.
But yeah, Tom Brady, he heads back to New England and beats the Patriots 19-17. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Cardinals and whether or not they're the best team in the NFL. We're going to talk about the Chargers and the Raiders on Monday Night Football, what Joey Bosa said about Derek Carr. And then we're going to talk about some weather games because there was some weather games. And that's where we bring you guys in, the pros, tell stories about different games throughout your careers that were impacted by weather. But I mean, first and foremost, there was a game on Sunday night that was impacted by weather. And it was that Sunday Night Football game. It was a nice homecoming for Tom Brady. He came out really late, I guess, later than most quarterbacks ever do, and he got a standing ovation. But once that thing happened, once the game started, they were all booing Tom, and I think they found that pretty fun. He ends up winning 19-17, but he didn't have the greatest game. Tom Brady didn't. And it was raining, and it was windy, and he was losing the grip on the ball, but it wasn't the greatest game for Tom Brady. He still ends up with a W, though.
He's still the GOAT, and he still always finds a way to win no matter what. But I mean, the hype of the game was everything in the NFL could have asked for. The GOAT player versus the GOAT coach, with the GOAT player breaking the all-time passing yards record. It was everything it lived up to be before it started. And then they just gave us this dud of a game. It could have been the weather.
I would say I hate watching Mac Jones play.
Really?
It's like watching somebody take the ball 5 yards a pop all the way down the field until he scores. I mean, I'm not saying he's not efficient or he's not one of the better rookie quarterbacks this year. But God, man, give me something to watch. And then he just looks like he looks. You know what I'm saying? It's just like it's just nothing exciting, you know what I'm saying, about like what he's doing. It's just
very Mac Jones' play is like Bill Belichick's personality. That's
very true. They match each other very well because he's got the personality, it seems like, and the guy's I'm sure a nice guy, but he's got the personality of a cardboard box. And
it's match made in heaven, hands down, match made in heaven. That's the guy Bill Belichick wanted right there. Like
so one thing I noticed about this game that Bill Belichick stayed very on brand. So when he finds a weakness on a defense, he exploits it. So they know that my friend Richard Sherman got signed on Wednesday. So here he goes from Wednesday. He's literally like his last week on his Instagram. He was packing snacks for his son's Little League game. He's like, this is the last Sunday I'm going to be doing this. So let me get the snacks. He's in the game 7 days later starting. And what does Belichick do? Goes right at him. They got him in man coverage, right at him again, motion him up to a stack formation. So a DB has to communicate, but shit, if you've only been there 4 days, you don't know what the communication is. So they were picking on my guy, Richard Sherman, man. But that's what Belichick does.
Bro, he didn't look that bad though. He didn't look that bad to be coming off of not playing and the injury he had last year. Like the pass interference he called was really suspect. That shit was sus as hell. Like he barely touched the guy. And I kept on saying to myself, y'all keep on playing with him if you want to. I don't know what he's going to do, but he's going to come up with a big play. I don't know how he does it. He always finds a way to show up, and then sure enough, he picks up a fumble.
Well, one thing I'll tell you about Richard Sherman is I couldn't stand him with the Seahawks because I'm a 49er fan and he always beat my team. And he did that whole thing with Crabtree on the field. But when he became a 49er is when I realized how great of a player he really is, because he number one, negotiated his own contract, which means he believes in himself, and it was all incentive based. He made a lot of his incentives, and he was really good for the 49ers. So I know he had all that stuff happen over the offseason where he was, drunk and trying to break into his father-in-law's house, but it does seem like he was remorseful and he's trying to make his way back. So I hope for the best of Richard Sherman in Tampa Bay, but Tampa's also got a really old defense right now. I mean, it's got guys all over the place that have played everywhere prior in their careers. It's
crazy. I'm going to take one step back and I'm going to call that the Deion Sanders effect. Hated that guy as a Falcon, hated that guy as a Cowboy. When he came to the Niners, boy, I was high stepping my way through the backyard trying to act like
that was your guy there, huh? That was your guy there. Oh my God. Look at y'all. Y'all have no morals. If you don't like a guy, you can't bring him to your team and all of a sudden fall in love with him.
I wasn't happy about him coming to the 49ers. It just happened. So I didn't have a choice. I didn't have a
49ers, man. The same with T.O. Hated him on other teams, bring him to the 49ers. All good.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, I guess it was the reverse, but yeah. All right. Yeah, man. So back to the game. I had a problem with Belichick there at the end of the game. And so, Scrapes, I know you can talk about the field goal itself, but my biggest problem is they ended the game with a timeout in their pocket. When you got 4th and 3 and a timeout in your pocket, send the offense out there and try to draw them off sides. And the one thing we know about New England is they can do shit like that because they're supposedly the most disciplined team with the most disciplined coaches. That is the exact moment for it. You have nothing to lose. I mean, if you jump off sides, you lose 5 yards. But if you're as disciplined as you say, send your boys out there, hard count it, try to get that first down. But he lost the game with a timeout in his pocket. I got problems with that.
Shit, he might have needed to keep that timeout in his pocket because that Bucs defense is for real, bro. Like, and I don't think you want them 4th and 3, especially in a rainy game, where ball security is an issue,
I'm talking, don't even snap it. Just try to get them offside. Just try
offside and then use the timeout.
Don't get them, call your timeout, kick the field goal.
That's I didn't even realize that, by the way. That's why we have this podcast, because those are the things that I don't really think about is clock certain strategies.
I know clock.
I need to get that book. I need to get the book.
Yeah, man. Go back to last week's episode.
I need to get the book. But, and it makes total sense. But I was really surprised that Bill Belichick decided to kick that 56-yard field goal in the rain with like 50 seconds left or something on the Bucs side of the field instead of trying to convert that 4th and 3. Because the way I look at it is, okay, he makes it great. It's all going to work out. Everybody celebrates him for making the right decision, but he missed it. And I thought he was going to miss it because it was in the rain. It was long. And I feel like if you're going to lose the game by missing a field goal, what's the difference from not converting and turning the ball over on downs?
Scrapes, can I quote an American classic?
Go ahead. Please. Greg.
In the movie, The Mighty Ducks. There is a shot at the end where they hit the pole.
Yeah.
And something along the lines, I'm paraphrasing, 3 inches more to the right, and it's a goal and we win. And the response is, well, what about 3 inches more to the left and you totally miss? What happens then? And that's the same situation with this field goal. 6 inches to the right, Belichick's a hero, great decision, and they score. 6 inches to the left, as it was, they miss. It was a terrible decision. I'm fine with the decision. He took a calculated risk, and it just didn't work out.
He just did it so fast. I was like, what the heck? He's had this in his mind. I was thinking maybe he would take the time out and think about it.
Man, no way. I when I saw the game going on, to be honest, I really felt like it was going the Patriots' way the whole game. They were getting the calls. It just seemed like there was some home cooking going on. I'm like, dang, like, all the calls seem to be going the Patriots' way right now. They really don't want to see Tom Brady win. But, when it comes down to that last second, they try to do the best that they could do to take as much time off the clock as possible, not to give Tom Brady the ball back. It worked, but then you missed the field goal, so it's damned if you do, damned if you don't type
Totally.
Shit.
Totally. I agree with you 100% about that. And like Greg just said with his sweet Mighty Ducks reference, which I'm really
God,
into.
way to go.
Because I mean, I grew up with that movie. That was like
Cult
one of my
classic
favorite.
right there.
Yes, very much so. And if you watch it today, still holds up. I think a little bit. But outside of the game, I mean, the Patriots are going to be a team in progress until Mac Jones can be a better. He's not a bad quarterback, but he needs to become a better quarterback for them to win and go to the playoffs, I would say. Other than that, Bill Belichick actually after the game requested to go into the Buccaneers locker room, which I feel like is a little different from number one, Bill Belichick, and number two, from most other head coaches. But he wanted to go talk to Tom after the game, and I think that tells us everything we need to know about the relationship between Tom Brady and Bill Belichick.
Don't let him fool you, man. Bill's over there trying to cheat. He's trying to go in there and grab a playbook, trying to grab a call sheet.
Something. He trying to get anything. He just trying to get he probably trying to drop a microphone in there for next week or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Like all types of fuckery that Bill got going on.
Types of fuckery.
Hey man, you see Spygate? We ain't making this shit up. That's Bill them. That's that shit they were doing over there.
Here's what my mindset is. Oh, it's so cute. Bill Belichick wanted to go and hug Tom Brady and say, thanks, Tom, for 20 years. And you guys are like, he's cheating, that motherfucker.
Man, hey,
we're not upset at all with what's going on in the past.
Man, come on now. This man sitting there watching film, like people in practice sessions and getting formations. Like, come on, man. And y'all just sweep that shit away, man. This man, they caught him. They caught his ass. Shit.
A couple times. They almost caught him a couple years ago, too, when I don't even know what happened with that, but there was like a scout taping something in the Bengals press box.
Exactly.
It's weird, but
it's always weird shit happening.
That is true. But the next thing I want to talk about in the podcast, it's hard for me to say, but the NFC West might be the best division in football. And the Cardinals right now are the only undefeated team left. They beat the Rams handily, 38-20 in LA, which I did not expect for this game to go the way it's going. People are saying that Kyler Murray is the first quarter MVP of the season. Everybody was saying that the Rams are going to the Super Bowl last week. This week they get beat big. I don't know what the heck happened, but are the Cardinals for real? Because I can't myself buy into it, but I guess I have to if they're going to continue to play like Kyler Murray's been playing.
100% for real. And Kyler Murray's playing out of his mind. And it's two things that I've seen that have really changed his game. Accuracy, for one, he is dropping dimes. I'm talking beautiful, on the spot, in traffic, right to the guy's hands, dimes. And two, we all knew he could run. The guy has a great running ability, but what I'm seeing is when he's running, he's still looking downfield. So not only does he take off, he buys time for his receivers to get open, and then he's making plays down the field. So the dude is a pocket threat, a running threat, a passing from outside of the pocket threat. And then AJ Green, man, that was a great pickup. So this dude was just, super talented and kind of hiding in Cincinnati, injured a little bit here and there. But, man, to have that guy just as plan B when DeAndre Hopkins isn't working, weapons.
That's a mean pickup right there. Like you say, AJ Green, probably some of the best hands in the NFL. And you don't lose hands. You might lose a step or two, but when you can catch, you can fucking catch it. And this guy has been catching the ball since the beginning of his career. And let's go back to Kyler Murray's legs. I think that was the X factor, because whenever you have a quarterback like Kyler Murray who can move around and is probably one of the fastest people on the field, that takes a lot of pressure off of him. And then it also eliminates a lot of that defensive line pass rush. It was a couple of times I saw, Aaron Donald break through the line, but couldn't get a finger on him because he's just too fast. You know what I'm saying? Like, he just moves too fast. He's too quick. And then, like you say, Greg, he going to keep his eyes down the field. And when you got targets like D-Hop and AJ Green, like, come on, man. Like, you just asking for it. That was a great pickup with J.J. Watt as well to kind of help their defense out, get a little bit more stout. So I'm still going to need to see it's on the first quarter of the season, so I'm not going to crown Kyler Murray MVP or nothing. I'm not saying that the Arizona Cardinals are going to the fucking Super Bowl, but what I do know is they have a great team with a lot of fucking weapons.
makes me so angry as a 49er fan because it's probably going right now. Cardinals, Rams. I mean, you got to go Cardinals because they just beat the Rams, and then you go Rams, and then you go Seahawks, and then you go 49ers. I mean, that is a tough division. That's a tough
division. Man. And I mean, it could very well could be a 2-3 team playoff division, but they're going to beat up on each other. But man, it's fun. They're a fun division to watch.
Yeah, whatever.
Salty as fuck.
I am because I want to spend some time on these weather games, but we're going to talk about the Chargers beating the Raiders on Monday Night Football last night. That's not the story. The story is really that Chargers defensive end Joey Bosa, he let loose last night talking about Derek Carr. He said to The Athletic, quote, about Derek Carr, "We knew once we hit him a few times, he really gets shook. And you saw on Christian Covington's sack, he was pretty much curling into a ball before we even get back there. Great dude, great player. But we know once you get pressure on him, he kind of shuts down." Can I
translate that for us, Scrapes?
Yeah, go ahead.
Great dude, great player, but he's a bitch. That's what he said.
I mean, I don't disagree with you. I kind of read it like that too, but why say it? Why say it?
Noted. Because it's a rivalry. It's finally a rivalry of relevance again. And why not say that? You know, especially when all the talk was this team's gonna come into your house with all their fans. And I expected the Raiders to win. I predicted this game wrong. But why not talk mess, man? It's a rivalry. Get up there. You know, they won.
I told some people yesterday. I was like, I'm glad y'all bought 75% of the tickets. You know why? Because not only did you give us that W, you gave us that money too. You know what I'm saying? So we gonna take this W and your money at the same time. So as many Raiders fans as they had up there in LA, it wasn't enough. And to be honest, I said that shit last week, regardless. Like when they were sitting undefeated, I did not believe they were a top 2 team in the AFC West. I didn't. I thought it was the Chargers and the Chiefs. I still think it's the Chargers and the Chiefs. The fucking Raiders just don't have what it takes to get over that hump yet.
As two guys that played for the Chargers, you just still hate the Raiders, right? I mean,
I don't hate them. But
I don't like them. I don't like them. I grew up in the Bay Area, a Niner fan. You were either a Niner fan or a Raider fan. You couldn't be both. So you know where I stand.
There's no Richard Seymour trying to take your legs out, Marcus.
Bro, I hate New England more. I hated New England more than I did the Oakland Raiders. I hated playing in Oakland. Like that shit is fucking the black hole back in the day. I'm talking about these motherfuckers had.
Except for that dude on your shirt, Ice Cube would show up to the games.
Yeah, that
was about the highlight of Oakland Coliseum.
Hey, that shit was no good up there, you know. But at the same time, it was just like we were beating their ass so much, like especially when I was playing. Like I can give a damn about that game. It was almost like one of those games we were taking off.
So the Oakland Coliseum is one of the most bootleg stadiums in the world. So first of all, they were one of the last to have the baseball field out there, which is literally like diving on concrete. It's fucking atrocious. Miserable. Totally. So when you go out there and you would play if I run or come back at 18 yards. And I know that the dirt ends at 19 or 20 yards, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to get to the grass and make my cut. And the other bootleg part is, so on the visitor sideline, there's stands, press boxes, and then bootleg stands at the very top. That shit is so steep.
Oh.
And they put the family section so far in the back that you literally cannot see your family from the sideline. On your sideline. It's so high up in the air that you cannot see your own sideline.
Do you remember the fucking steps? Do you remember the steps, how steep the steps were coming down in there?
Coming out of the locker room?
Yeah, that shit was fucking, it's like they were trying to get you hurt coming out of the locker room. Like, we don't give these fuckers.
And then you got to go under the bleachers.
Hey, it was just
the old ass cheerleaders over there. It looked like Al Davis picking himself. Like they looked like they were good looking in the 80s.
Hey, and you look like you'll get your ass stabbed walking outside by yourself too. Like,
you're not joking.
Those fucking fans are going ballistic in there. You know what I'm saying? Like that shit was crazy. But on the flip side, though, fuck the Raiders. the LA Chargers rookies right now. Fucking Rashawn Slater, right? And then what's
Asante
my boy
Samuel
name?
Jr.
Asante Samuel Jr. Ballers, bro. Like straight up, I'm stamping Rashawn Slater myself. You know what I'm saying? He is the truth. I watched him pass block against the defensive ends they had from Oakland. They were talking so much about how good of a season they were having. And this boy went in there and put them clamps and them jumper cables on them every time. I'm talking about perfect pass sets. And even on the run block, he's sticking his nose in there and pushing the line back. I love watching that kid play. And Asante Samuel, he brings so much energy to the field and is making big plays. Like, they are exactly what this Chargers team needed next to Justin Herbert.
And Brandon Staley, I like his aggressive style. I mean, I like when guys go for it on 4th and 2, unlike Bill Belichick, the GOAT, taking the easy way out, bros.
Nothing makes you feel old like the juniors of the guys you used to play against out there on the field.
That is true.
Dante Samuel Jr., Patrick Surtain Jr.,
Whitfield.
What's the Bucks DB that was a rookie? Whitfield. I played with his dad.
That is kind of crazy. Yeah. That is kind of crazy because like now I'm 36, but I see guys that are making their major league debut and they were born in like 2001. I'm like,
Scrape, you 36?
Yeah. It's like, what?
Fuck, I thought you were like 47.
47?
I was just
47? You know, I was just fucking with you, Scrape. I'm going to try to do this real quick. I want to see if I'm able to share my audio of this thing because share sound is what I'm trying to do because I want you guys to hear Joey Bosa real quick talking about the referees.
I didn't even know they called the penalty on me because I was fuming, but I mean, refs are blind. Simple. I'm sorry, but you're blind. Like, open your eyes and do your job. It's so bad. It's unbelievable. I mean, look at the play. Sack, game over, 15 yards. It's a big deal. Obviously, that's on me. I should never lose my control like that. But these guys have got to do a better job because it's been years of terrible, terrible missed calls left and right. It's really pathetic, honestly. But pathetic on me, too, for doing what I did. Call or not, I have to take a step back and just go to the next play. But, man.
All right, so Joey Bosa really had some crazy – he had a lot to say last night, apparently. A lot to say about everyone.
Oh, man.
But what do you guys think? I mean, just referees, you know how baseball, they're talking about robo umpires are trying to get some robots in there. You can't do that with football. It's just going to happen with refs. They're going to call bad calls. I don't know what else you could say about it, really.
So I am on the belief that football needs to have less rules and less penalties.
Ooh.
But there's just too much. There's too big. There's too big of a playbook. There's too many rules. Shit, I played the game and don't even know all the rules. Like it's too much to know. Reduce it. Let's just roll. And an example would be with baseball. There's no rule for a check swing. There's not
it's an interpretation.
There's no rule. There's literally no explanation. So you can't argue it. Well, shit, let's go back and do that with a catch. What'd you think? All right, it's a catch. Cool.
That's a great point. That's a great point. I like where you went with that one, Greg.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
I mean, just to be honest, like that shit is just ridiculous when it comes down to some of the refs calls sometimes. And that's just a part of the game. But to me, sometimes that shit makes the game a little more exciting because it's less predictable. You don't know what the fuck is going to happen, you know. But the biggest, I think the biggest flag that I hate this year is with some bullshit is the fucking taunting.
Oh, yeah.
What in the fuck? Like, what? Like, why the hell am I fucking mossing your ass if I can't get up and give you the business when I finish?
Yeah,
I just pancaked your ass over the rest of the defensive line. I want to stand over you, point my finger at you, and let you know where that shit came from.
And then the fans go crazy.
The penalty I hate the most is a fourth down PI that cost the game. And here's one I'm glad they didn't call. Kirk Cousins threw a Hail Mary to Thielen, and the DB was like sexually assaulting him in the end. And they didn't call it. And I'm cool with that. If you throw a Hail Mary up you're not going to get a PI call. And
That's a scrum to begin with.
I'm cool with that. Like, just, grab each other. That's what's going to happen. Thank you for not ruining the game with that call.
Yeah.
Just don't let the refs decide the game. Like you said, Greg, like that's the only thing. Make the calls, you know what I'm saying? Some calls will be missed. Every once in a while, they might not call a ticky-tack right there. But when the game is on the line, that is not the time I'm trying to see a yellow flag come out to decide the fate of it. Even though it got us Auburn a win a couple of weeks ago, but we're not going to talk about it.
See, it doesn't matter when it goes for your team. It doesn't matter when it goes for your team. All right, last thing we're going to talk about here before we end this podcast and the next podcast, we have some cool things we're going to do, so I'll tell you about that in a second. But weather games. I texted you guys on Sunday morning because I saw that the Bills were playing the Texans in a pretty good downpour. It ended up not being, much of a factor. The Bills went on to win 40-0, and the Texans barely did. I think they had like 3 yards at halftime, the quarterback. That is brutal for the Texans. But I wanted to know, like, first, is weather the great equalizer? Can a bad team play to the level of a good team because of the weather? And then number two, do you guys have any crazy weather stories that you could tell us?
Yes, and yes. All right. So there's this is my first time sharing this secret in my life to other human beings. There's 2 balls that I was afraid to catch.
Brett Favre.
I had 100% confidence in my catching ability, except for 2 situations. A deep ball that's coming over my right shoulder. So if I'm running a streak on the left side, uncomfortable catching it. And then anything in the rain. I got small hands. I can't fully grip a ball. The fucking balls in the rain. I played in Miami where you could catch a rainstorm at any moment.
Yeah.
I would literally lose sleep over the weather report. If that shit said thunderstorms possible, I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm going to be exposed. So yeah, man, weather scared the shit out of me. And I've got a couple stories about the games, but Mac, take it from there.
I was just gonna say, shit. The weather for me was always a factor, but people don't realize though some of the worst weather games aren't even the cold. When it's hot down south,
oh shit!
Oh my god, that shit is brutal. I've been to practices and played games with 97-degree heat with the humidity. I'm talking about when you finish playing, your socks are wet. You know what I'm saying? Everything on your whole body is wet. Everything. It's like you literally jumped in the pool and jump back out. Whenever you just finish practice, probably lost 10 or 15 pounds at one practice. And that shit's horrible. At least with the cold, I could put as many clothes on as I want. Fucking heaters everywhere. I'm stuffing those little heat and hand warmers everywhere I can get a crevice. You know what I'm saying? But everywhere. You can't take off but so many clothes, and you still gonna be hot down south. So
and a team from San Francisco, I'll just use the 49ers going to Florida. They don't practice in that. They don't deal with that.
No, it's so in Miami early in the season, we wore our white jerseys on purpose to force our guests into dark jerseys. So we played the Raiders and they came and had to wear black. They were fucking dying. I would get IVs before the game. And in practice, I would bring out 2 pair of shorts and 3 pair of gloves, knowing I was going to sweat through everything. And then, like Big Mac said, we had shoe dryers. It would not even, it didn't rain. You come off the field, you put your helmet, your shoulder pads, and your shoes on a drying device. It blows air into them to get them to dry because you're that wet.
Yeah, they're that wet, man. That shit was crazy. That weather down south is a whole different animal. Between the south and that northeast, midwest, some of those extremes, I'm not trying to mess with.
Great. So specific games, man. Yeah. So Minnesota 2010 Favre last season, we go to bed about to go play the Giants. We wake up in the morning to the news that the dome collapsed. So it was the middle of a fucking massive snowstorm. And then we're like, the dome collapsed? Like, what the fuck? And then you learn that the Minnesota Vikings old stadium was literally a bubble full of air that holds up. The roof was held up by air.
Yeah, I remember this.
What?
And the snow piled up too hard and it fell through. So they wouldn't let us go home. It's too dangerous to drive on the roads. You're going to stay at the hotel. So they postponed the game and we have no idea what the fuck's going on. So we eventually get home. And they're like, well, we're going to play the game on Tuesday in Detroit. And this is right around Christmas time. So we get to Detroit. There's snow flurries going on in Detroit. And because it's the Giants versus the Vikings in Detroit, no one has tickets. So they just offer free tickets to whoever wants it.
That's
So
amazing.
you're talking about the city of Detroit in 2010 when it was like, the downfall of Detroit on a snowy Christmas-esque day. Anyone who wants to come in can come in and get warm. So imagine the type of people in the city of Detroit.
What the fuck?
Oh, so we're talking homeless.
We're talking whoever. We saw every NFL jersey. We're talking about, did people experience homelessness, came down in there, and they came right to the bottom and talking shit. And it was hilarious.
That is
What the fuck
amazing.
are they talking shit for?
They were talking shit.
Team. Like,
Who are these? I cheer. I'm a Lions fan.
you fucking suck, Detroit, baby. Like, fuck, we're playing. What the fuck? We're playing the Giants.
So,
What are you
That
talking
is
about?
so weird.
That was my one Tuesday game. Another Tuesday game, a blizzard in Philadelphia that was so bad that no one could get to the stadium. And so they postponed it to Monday, still too snowy. They called out the citizens of Philadelphia to come dig out the stadium.
Wow.
Literally got video of Joe Schmo with his snow shovel digging out the stadium so we could go play. We stayed there an extra day, got some good cheesesteak action, ran to the Rocky Trophy, took some pictures, and then got our ass kicked by the Eagles.
Bro, straight up, the Eagles fans can boo whoever the hell they want if they came out there and cleaned up that stadium for y'all. Shout out to the Eagles fans. I thought y'all was some real fans. Now that I know y'all 10 toes down, you just went up in Big Mac book, baby.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. All those Eagles fans out there, you're in the good graces of Big Mac's book.
I'll bless
So-
you with some sesame seeds or some shit.
Yeah. So it sounds like weather is a big deal. Sounds like weather is a big deal. All right. That's it for this episode of Two Pros and a Joe. When we have our next episode, we're going to go through our top 3 wide receivers in the NFL right now. We're going to do the fuck, which will include Urban Meyer. We're going to get into the Urban Meyer in the next episode of this podcast, Two Pros and a Joe. Follow us on social media at the number 2 Pros and a Joe. Email us, 2prosandajoe@gmail.com, and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, all that good stuff. You can find us anywhere you catch your podcast, at Catch Camarillo, at Marcus McNeil 73, at Matt Scraby. And like I said, we'll have another episode here in the next couple days, and we'll be talking about some more great NFL topics. And I promise I will not start the next one by talking about Tom Brady's dick. That's a promise.
Please,
That's a-
Craig.
that's a
Bye
promise.
week. Bye week
All
from
right.
Dong.
Bye week from Dong Gate. All right.
Please.
Dong Gate.